Get back up here, and then this matter is set for a pretrial conference today, and there are a couple of motions that are pending from the defense. Let's take them, and I think the order that they were probably filed simultaneously, but at least in the order that I have them. The first is a motion for a GSR discovery. Apparently CID performed some kind of test, and perhaps there is a report.
Yes.
All right. Do you have knowledge of that, Ms. Pryor?
Judge, to be perfectly candid with you, I believe that these motions got filed in a pleadings folder that was left in my office. Had a number of files pulled for today.
You want to look at them?
We missed that one. I did not get an opportunity to speak with them about that, or even the Colorado police about the other motion. I will just say that if there exists GSR discovery, I will find out and I will turn it over to you. I will.
Well, and the request is for CID to turn it over, right? Not the Commonwealth. I mean, that's the way the motion is drafted, and that's the way the order is drafted. I don't know if you have it or don't have it. Certainly, I know if you have it, then you would provide it. Yeah.
No.
All right. Were you aware of this?
No, and I don't remember. I remember seeing the vehicle motion. I don't even remember seeing this motion when it came in, so I apologize. But I'm not aware of it, but I have not reviewed everything I have in my file. I know that I've forwarded, as I get discovery, I forwarded it on, but I'm not aware of this. Now, you're asking for actual
Judge, if I may just make it a little easier.
Sure, please, Ms. Roy.
We've done this once before, and this is not something the Commonwealth would probably have. It's like all the testing
Their data, right.
that
Okay.
they would have, and unless we specifically ask for it in its order, I don't think the lab ever provides that to anybody. So
You're right.
there would have to be an order for it to be provided to the Commonwealth.
Right.
I don't think it's anything the Commonwealth has.
I realize your familiarity with the motion may be a little bit limited based on what you've said, but do you have any objection to the?
No, and
I
if
mean, it
they
seems to
have
me
it,
to be
I don't
an
see
appropriate
any reason why
request.
they wouldn't be willing to turn that over as well.
All right, I'm going to grant the motion for CID to provide to the defendant a complete copy of its GSR report regarding Mr. Long. The second motion then is a motion for the defendant's vehicle, Mr. Long's vehicle, to be transported to Kentucky from Colorado for examination purposes. And I guess my first question about that is, wouldn't it be easier to have it examined just where it is?
Well, the police examined it out in Colorado, Judge. It's been a considerable amount of time doing it. We have an expert witness for us now that was a former head of the Kentucky State Police Forensics Laboratory, and we could pay him to go out there, certainly. But I don't know how many days.
Well, I mean, with all due respect, you're going to have to pay him to come here, right?
Well, that's true.
I mean, I just, when you said he was with KSP, though, I guess he's
Formerly, he's retired.
Yeah, formerly with KSP, so he's relatively local. He's somewhere in
He's in
Kentucky,
Louisville,
maybe, in
yes.
Louisville. So it's a question of whether he drives from Louisville down here or flies from Louisville to Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Is that what we're talking about?
Ron Friels.
Ms. Pryor, do you,
I certainly am not in a position to authorize payment on behalf of the Commonwealth or the Sheriff's Office or anyone to have this vehicle transported.
yeah, I guess that's the question. What do you anticipate, or who do you contemplate would pay for the transportation of the vehicle?
Well, we were hoping that the state would, Your Honor.
I understand that.
Yes.
I guess the question is, if the state is not requesting it, why the state would be obligated to pay for it, or why I would be inclined to make them pay for it if they're not requesting it. My inclination would be that since some, if not all, of whatever expenses associated with this is going to be borne by the defendant, it might be not only more efficient, but even more economical for your expert just to go out there and do it. I mean, he's just going to look at it and examine it and then prepare a report.
Yes,
And, right?
same examination that the law enforcement did out there.
Well,
Sure.
and I guess that's what I would be concerned with, is what type of examination would be done, because if it's anything that would, potentially obtain or destroy the evidence, then we would be objecting to that, but I don't know what it is that they're proposing to be done.
Would it be appropriate for some designated representative of the Commonwealth to be present when your expert examines the vehicle, whether it's in Colorado or in Kentucky?
Well, It won't be in Kentucky because we're not going to be able to pay that.
Okay.
To have that
In Colorado?
Well, I,
Who examined it on behalf of the Commonwealth out there?
someone with the, I believe it was the, Colorado,
Yes, it
either-
was.
I don't know if it was the state police or even the local police department. But what I'm saying is I'm not sure, if we could do it this way and do an agreed order, basically just including what it is that you're wanting to be done, what kind of testing and such that you want to be done.
Okay.
I can forward it on to them, see if that is something that they could be present for or if there's any objection that we would have to whatever testing is done.
Okay.
We can address that.
All right, well, certainly you have the right to examine it, there's no question about that. Based on what we've discussed thus far, I'm not going to require the Commonwealth to pay for the vehicle to be transported back here. So then you can decide and understand what your
We'll ship him
decision
on-
would
We'll
be.
ship him on out there.
I understand that, and then if you all will have continued discussions about any terms or conditions of the examination, if you're not able to reach an agreement, let me know and I'll help resolve those issues, but otherwise, hopefully you can reach an agreement about what those terms and conditions would be.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Judge, we have two other things.
Yes, sir,
One
go
of
ahead.
them is the motion for discovery that Jessie Goslyn's counsel made, and we would like to join in with that same motion that they made, that Mr. Maddox made, and I think Clay, are you Clay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Mark Bryant.
Nice to
Right.
meet you.
All right, you want to just call Ms. Goslyn then?
That's fine.
Jessie Goslyn, Ms. Goslyn, you may come up if you wish to do so.
Hi, Jesse.
All right, so Mr. Bryant, you're simply joining in Mr. Maddox, Mr. Bonnecky's motion for the discovery that's been requested. I looked through the motion. I didn't see anything, Ms. Pryor, that caused me concern. Was there anything from the Commonwealth standpoint that caused concern?
Your Honor, I believe that everything that they are asking for has basically been provided. I will apologize for this too, as we're starting a murder trial next week, so my focus in the past couple of weeks has been dedicated to that. So I have not gone to the detectives with it. I have not had a chance to send this to them and say, can you double check that you've turned over everything that applies to this? But I don't see any problem with the exception of the NCIC report. We are bound by rules when we sign over to be able to obtain those reports, that we will not then divulge them. I will certainly, and I'm not even sure if they've been pulled on these two individuals, but if they have, what I can do is comb through them and determine if there are any convictions against either of the defendants and forward that on to defense counsel, but I cannot give them a copy of the actual printout.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do and what I'd like you to do, please, Ms. Pryor. I'm going to grant the motion for discovery and inspection on behalf of both of the defendants, both on behalf of Ms. Long and Ms. Goslyn. What I'd like for the Commonwealth to do would be to provide a written response, and if the response is that this information has already been provided, or this information doesn't exist, or this information has been provided subject to whatever, if you would include all that, Ms. Pryor, in a written response to the defendants, then we can evaluate that and determine whether there are any other issues that need to be addressed. As I indicated from my review of the motion, it didn't seem to be anything that was unusual or anything that was extraordinary or anything that would otherwise be problematic. I appreciate the explanation regarding the NCIC reports and understand that. There may be some other reason why the Commonwealth either can't or won't provide that, and if so, if you set that forth in your written pleading, your written response, then I think we could address any other issues that arise. Does that work?
To be clear, Your Honor,
Yes, sir.
there are certain things which we have reference to in the materials we have received, which we have not received. The materials we have refer to other
Right,
other
right.
items.
Can you be specific
Well,
about things that
there
you
was,
have?
yes,
there was some
yes,
specificity in the
yes,
motion, and there
we-
were
we-
some things that you've received that I think weren't clear.
Right,
some
and
things
that,
like
that,
so-
that I think is less of an issue. I'm not concerned about, we're not concerned about being able to get legible copies of things that were photocopied, and the nature of photocopying being what it is, being illegible. That's understandable, but we had several items which referred to and even quoted from some text messages between Ms. Goslyn and Mr. Long that predated the incident in
That
question.
you don't have.
That we have We have a half dozen of them, but we have nothing beyond that. And these are things that are obviously part of much larger conversations. In addition, there are also things that we found in reference to a text, or a quote from a text message sent to Mr. Long from somebody else after Ms. Goslyn was arrested, that actually references him needing help hiding the body, which is so certainly potentially exculpatory for Ms. Goslyn. We would be interested in seeing anything of that nature as well. We also know that there were a number of disks, computers, flash drives, et cetera, that were seized that we have seen absolutely nothing about regarding what may have been contained on those either.
All right.
Well, they were seized by the police during the course of the investigation. That were included on search warrants and evidence logs, but we've seen nothing regarding what was ever contained on any of those.
All right, let's do this. Ms.
Evaluations.
Pryor, would it be possible for you to provide a written response on or before May the 5th, which is 2 weeks?
And we do have a pretrial, the next pretrial step in this case.
On what date?
As well, on May the 5th.
On May the 5th?
Yes, we do.
No, it's not going to be on May the 5th. That's a Friday.
Or May the 3rd.
May the 3rd, probably.
That Wednesday, yes.
Well, let me ask then, Ms. Pryor, although I originally said the 5th, would it be possible to do it by May the 3rd? And then if there are any issues, we could address those on May the 3rd. And that's particularly more important, I think, for Ms. Goslyn since her trial's set in June.
To the 5th.
Although I'm sure Mr. Long would like to have that information as soon as possible also. Is that doable? How long is your murder trial?
We're blocked off for the entire week next week, and I'm due to be out on the 1st with my father who's having surgery.
All right, let me.
But I'll do my best.
Well, let me ask this. Would you all be available on May the 10th to have a pretrial rather than May the 3rd? Let me let you check.
That would be great, and then I can.
And then you could have the response by the 5th?
I should be able to have it.
Okay. That would give you a couple of days before the pretrial. Mr. Bonick, I think you said that would work for you, right?
It will. That will not be an issue at all.
I don't believe that we had Mr. Long scheduled on the 3rd initially. I think it was just before Ms. Goslyn.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, all right, so we don't need to change that one. And then, so I don't know that you all would even necessarily have to be here on the 10th. We have another pretrial, I'm sure, set for you all. If she provides the written
Oh, we're doing
response,
July. I'm sorry.
if she provides the written response by May the 5th, and you would have that good, okay, so let's do that then. So we're not going to change anything in Mr. Long's case, but the written response is going to be provided by the Commonwealth on or before May the 5th.
And we will also vacate the May 3rd date.
And we'll vacate May 3rd.
No
All right?
reason for that.
All right, anything else we need to take up with
There
you?
is,
Yes,
Judge.
all right.
I talked to Mr. Maddox recently, and he said the motion for the writ of certiorari is still before the Supreme Court.
It has been denied at this
Oh,
time.
it was? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
That's
we're
it.
on.
Okay, that sounds like we're on.
All right.
I don't know of anything else that would prevent it at this
Okay,
point.
thank you.
Okay? All right, thank you all. Good to see everybody. Thank you. Mhm.